Hello and welcome to West Bengal Judicial Service Preparation. Hope you all are doing well. So today we are going to discuss about a new act, that is the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. While studying this act, I would like to suggest you to keep one thing in mind, that is the CBI cases. Yes, most of the CBI cases are dealt under this act against any public servant. It has a huge application. So firstly, let us take some basic idea about this act. So this act came into force in 9 September 1988. It has total 31 sections and 5 chapters. Territorial extent of this act is the whole of India, and it also applies to the all citizens of India living outside India. So this act is applicable both to the citizens of India and also to those citizens of India who are living outside India. And after the Jammu and Kashmir Recognition Act 2019, this act is also applicable to the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Now, where this act came from, why this act was necessary, was there any provision for the prevention of corruption in any other law? So let us have a look at that. Firstly, the provisions of Indian Penal Code 1860 defined the corruption-related offences in its provision from Section 161 to Section 165. But after 1988, it was necessary to bring a separate act to combat corruption in government agencies and public sector business in India. And therefore, the Section 161 to 165A of the Indian Penal Code 1860 was repealed and new act came into existence, which we call the Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. It is also mentioned under Section 31 of this act, that is the Prevention of Corruption Act, that Section 161 to 165A of the IPC is repealed by the central law and this act is enacted after that. Now let us understand the term corruption. What is corruption? What do we understand by corruption? According to dictionary meaning, corruption means dishonest or fraudulent conduct by those in power involving bribery. So what do we understand? That any dishonest or fraudulent conduct by any person who is in power, any public servant who involves himself in taking bribe or giving bribery by any public servant in discharge of public duty. So it can be done by any public servant in discharge of public duty. Corruption word is not defined under the Prevention of Corruption Act, but it is. So Section 2 of this Act defines public servant, that who are the public servants which falls under the purview of this Act and can be charged by involving himself or herself in giving or taking bribery. Therefore, corruption can be said to be acceptance of illegal gratification by a public servant or any person of high authority. Now let us check few sections of the PC Act. Firstly, the Chapter 1, Preliminary. Section 1, Short Title and Extent. I earlier discussed about the extent of this Act. Section 2 contains definitions. It has only 3 definitions: election, public servant, and public duty. Next is Section 3, Power to appoint special judges. Section 4, Case trial by special judges. Section 5, Procedure and powers of special judge. And Section 6, Power to try summary. So today basically we are going to discuss about only one topic, that is the special judges. Yes, who are these special judges, by whom they are appointed, and what are the power of the special judges under this Act. So let's move on to the power to appoint special judges, that is defined under Section 3. Now who can appoint a special judge? Special judge can be appointed by the central government or the state government. And what should be the qualification of such a special judge? Shall be qualified to be a session judge or additional session judge or assistant session judge. So a special judge appointed under this Act by the central government or the state government shall be qualified to be a session judge or additional session judge or an assistant session judge. Clear? Very much clear. Next, powers of a special judge. What are the powers of the special judge who are appointed by the central government or the state government? Let's have a look at the powers of the special judge. I am not discussing over here according to these sections. I am just uh, giving you an overview of this power of the special judges, that what are the powers. You can go through the Breyer Act and find out at what provisions these powers are mentioned. This is basically a question, you can say, about the powers of the special judge, which I am answering in this way. Okay, so first power is a special judge shall, as far as practicable, hold the trial of an offence on day-to-day basis. So, what powers are conferred by this act on the special judge? That the special judge can hold the trial of an offence on day-to-day basis. Yes, this act is a speedy trial relief act. So, the trial should be conducted in day-to-day basis as far as it is practicable. Next, a special judge may take cognizance of offence without the accused being committed to him for trial, and in trying the accused shall follow the procedure prescribed by the Criminal Procedure Code 1973 for trial of warrant cases by magistrate. So what procedure the special judge is going to follow under this act? That is the procedure prescribed by the Code of Civil Procedure Code, the which is the trial of the warrant cases by magistrate. The special judge can directly take cognizance of an offence without the accused being committed to him for trial. That is, it has the power to take cognizance and to proceed as a manner of a trial of warrant cases, as according to the procedure prescribed by the Code of Criminal Procedure. Next, tender a pardon for obtaining evidence. Yes, the magistrates or the special judge can tender a pardon for obtaining evidence as per the provisions of section 307 of CRPC. Next, the special judge shall be deemed to be a court of sessions, and the person conducting a prosecution before a special judge shall deem to be a public prosecutor. So the special judge would be a court of session, and there should be a special public prosecutor appointed specially for that court, who will deal only with the cases of that special judges or special judges court. Okay. Next. So the next power of a special judge is the special judge shall exercise all the powers and functions exercisable by a district judge. So the status of the special judge under this act is that of a district judge. It has all the powers and functions that are exercisable by a district judge. Next, the special judge shall try the offence in a summary way, and the provisions of section 262 and 265 of the Criminal Procedure Code shall be applicable. So the special judge can also try the offence in a summary way if it deems fits and necessary, according to the provisions of 262 to 265, which is the procedure for conducting a summary trial under the CRPC. Next, a special judge may pass upon any person convicted by him any sentence authorized by law. So the special judge has a power to pass any sentence authorized by law. Okay, for conviction purpose, any sentence authorized by law. Okay. So hope you like this video. These were the few powers of the special judge appointed by under this act. I have discussed this thing in answer writing format, not according to the provisions. You can check out the Breyer Act and find out the provisions. It is under the section 3 to section 6 of the PC Act. Hope you like this video. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel and help us grow. Happy watching.